A man out on bond for the murder of his pregnant wife is back in custody after authorities say he cut off his ankle monitor and took off to Italy. Lee Gilley is due to stand trial in just a matter of weeks. He's accused of strangling his wife Christa at their home in the Heights and trying to make her death look like a suicidal overdose.
He called 911 himself, told the operator his wife had overdosed, said he was doing CPR, told them she had tried to take her own life, and the whole time he was on that phone, his babies were in that house. Girl. This is the story of Christa Gilley, a woman who, by every account, gave this world everything she had: a mother, a friend, a daughter, remembered by the people who loved her as kind, welcoming, and selfless. And this is the story of the man who was supposed to protect her. In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. The Gilleys lived in the Heights, a neighborhood in Houston, Texas. From the outside, they looked like a family. 2 kids, a home, a life being built together. Christa was pregnant. Let that sit for a second. She was carrying a child, and the man she was building that life with, that is the same man who would end hers. Now, Lee Gilley, at the time all of this went down, was 39 years old. And while Christa was home, growing their family, Lee had something else going on entirely. Since 2023, he had been having an affair, a woman out in California, San Diego. And this woman, this affair, would become a lot more significant than just a betrayal, because she didn't just know his secrets. She allegedly helped him plan what came next. But we will get there. The night Christa died, Lee called 911 and told them she had attempted suicide by overdosing. He said he was performing CPR when they arrived. The couple's 2 children were home that night. Now, the story Lee told had one major problem: the autopsy. Because the autopsy did not find what a suicide by overdose leaves behind. What it found were signs of strangulation. And at some point, after that, Lee Gilley eventually admitted that the 2 of them had argued that night. Make it make sense. You call 911. You say your wife overdosed. You're doing CPR. And then the medical examiner comes back and says, no. This woman was strangled. Prosecutors weren't playing around. They charged Lee Gilley with capital murder in the death of his pregnant wife. And in October of 2024, just days after Christa's death, he was released from jail on a $1 million bond. $1 million. With conditions. He had to surrender his passport. He had to stay in the state of Texas. He could not leave without written permission. And he had to wear an ankle monitor at all times so they always knew exactly where he was. That was the deal. But here's the thing about Lee Gilley. The prosecutors? They were already nervous. Even before he got that bond, they had gone on record in court documents expressing their fear that this man was a flight risk. They said it, out loud, in writing, and they were right. So while the courts were preparing for trial, Lee Gilley was preparing something else. He was out on bond, ankle monitor on, passport surrendered, supposedly cooperating with the conditions the court had laid out for him. And behind all of that, he was allegedly on the phone with the woman he had been having an affair with, planning, talking through how to disappear. According to court records, Lee and this woman discussed fleeing to Mexico. Other countries, too. They talked about how to remove the GPS monitor from his ankle, in detail. A detailed plan, the records say, and they went further than that. They allegedly discussed the possibility of him marrying her, not out of love, but so he could get a new identity, a new name, a new life. While Christa's family was still grieving, while his children were still in this world without their mother. Anyways. Then comes March 31st. Lee files a motion with the court asking for permission to travel to South Carolina. His reason? His mother was terminally ill, and he wanted to visit her. Now, was that true? Maybe. But the timing of everything that followed makes you wonder what that trip was really about. 3 weeks before he actually ran, prosecutors filed documents in court. Documents that laid out the affair, the flight risk concerns, the alleged conversations about fleeing. They saw what was coming. They just couldn't stop it in time. The monitor goes silent. On a Friday, Lee Gilley's ankle monitor sent an alert, a strap tamper alert. That means the device detected that someone had interfered with it, cut it, removed it. And when investigators tried calling Lee to find out what was going on, no answer. He was gone. Not just out of Harris County, not just out of Texas. This man had crossed the Atlantic Ocean and landed in Italy. Let me tell you something. When prosecutors said they were afraid this man would flee, they meant it. And Lee Gilley proved every single one of those fears right. Now, the question everyone had was, how? How does a man on $1 million bond, with a surrendered passport, with an ankle monitor strapped to his leg, manage to get on a plane and fly to another country? That answer, as of the time this story broke, was still not fully clear. And honestly, that is its own conversation. But what happened next? That part we know. Airport officials in Milan, Italy, stopped Lee Gilley. They didn't believe his identification. Something about it didn't check out. And when they pressed him, he gave himself up. He told them he was being wrongfully prosecuted back in Texas, that he was facing the death penalty. He asked for asylum. Oh, so now he wants protection. This is the same man who, according to prosecutors, was calling the situation a setup the day after Christa died. The same man who was allegedly mapping out escape routes and new identities while out on bond for her murder. And now he's standing in an Italian airport asking for asylum. His attorney, Dick DeGuerin, confirmed that Lee was in custody overseas, and DeGuerin had a lot of concerns about what this meant for the case. He told reporters that he was worried prosecutors would use the flight as evidence of consciousness of guilt, meaning the fact that Lee ran would be used to argue that he knew he was guilty and ran because of it. DeGuerin pushed back on that read. His position was that Lee running was not about guilt. It was about fear, that his client was scared, moving on. Because whether Lee Gilley was scared or guilty or both, Christa is still gone. She was pregnant. Her children lost their mother, and now the man charged with her murder was sitting in Italian custody, and a whole extradition process had to begin before he could even be brought back to face trial in Harris County. The trial that had been scheduled to begin just weeks after he ran. Its timeline was now uncertain. Christa Gilley did not get to see her baby born. She did not get to watch her children grow up. She did not get to grow old. She did not get any of the things that she deserved. And by all accounts, she was the kind of woman who deserved every single one of them. Kind, welcoming, selfless. Those are the words her family used, not complicated words. Not words that need a lot of explaining. Just 3 quiet words that say everything about who she was and everything about what this world lost when she died. And here is what stays with you about this case. He called 911 himself. He stood in the home they shared, with their children inside, and he picked up that phone and tried to shape the story before anyone else could. He tried to make her death look like something she chose, like she had done this to herself. That part, that right there, is what makes this so hard to sit with. Because Christa did not choose this. Someone made that choice for her. Girl. The audacity of constructing a lie like that. over the body of the woman carrying your child, in the house where your babies were sleeping. And then, when the truth started closing in, he ran. He cut off the monitor. He crossed an ocean. He walked into an Italian airport with whatever identification he had cobbled together and asked for asylum from a country he had fled to. The plan fell apart at the door. But hey, it should never have gotten that far. Christa should still be here. Her baby should have been born into a world where their mother was alive. And her children should not be growing up with this story as part of their lives. That is the real weight of what happened in that house in the Heights. If this story hit you, and I think it did, share it. Talk about it. Because cases like Christa's are not rare enough. And the more we talk about what this looks like, the more we pay attention to the signs, the better chance we have of someone being saved before it is too late. Christa Gilley deserves to be remembered, not just as a victim, but as a mother, a friend, and a daughter who was loved. Rest easy, Christa. And as for what happens next with Lee Gilley, the extradition, the trial, all of it, we will be watching. And when there is more to tell, Dark Whispers will be right here.